Have you ever looked at a simple banana peel and wondered if it holds the secret to the most abundant tomato harvest of your life? Most of us simply throw banana peels into the trash, or perhaps toss them directly onto the compost pile, thinking we are doing our gardens a favor. But there is a massive difference between letting organic matter slowly rot in the elements and unlocking its nutritional power at a cellular level for your plants. Today, I am going to show you how to turn a humble banana peel into an incredibly potent, fast-acting organic liquid fertilizer using three simple household ingredients: molasses, water, and active dry yeast. This isn't just about saving kitchen scraps. It is about understanding the delicate dance between soil, microbiology, and plant health. Will the flowers on your tomato plants keep blooming under this regimen? Will the young, fragile fruits continue to swell and grow into heavy, juicy tomatoes? Or will nothing change at all? Let us begin this fascinating experiment together, and I will share the deep gardening wisdom that makes this method work so beautifully. Before we mix a single thing, we need to take a close look at the science behind our main ingredient. Banana peels are famous for being packed with organic matter and several vital minerals, most notably potassium. In the world of plant nutrition, potassium is the ultimate regulator. It controls the opening and closing of stomata, which are the tiny pores on leaves that allow the plant to breathe and transpire. It also plays a critical role in transporting sugars throughout the plant, stimulating root growth, and triggering the heavy flowering and fruiting cycles that every tomato grower dreams of. However, here is a secret that most gardeners do not know. Plants cannot immediately absorb these rich nutrients simply by soaking banana peels in a jar of plain water. If you just let a peel sit in cold water, you are mostly just making cloudy, stagnant water that can easily attract harmful pathogens. The potassium and organic compounds are locked tight inside the tough, fibrous cellular walls of the peel. To release them, we need to mimic the natural decomposition process of the forest floor, but at a highly accelerated rate. This is where the magic of microbiology comes in. To make these nutrients bioavailable, meaning in a form that the tiny root hairs of your tomato plant can actually drink in, we must create an environment where natural decomposition and intense microbial activity can take place. If you have ever noticed your tomato plants struggling, you might already be seeing the classic signs of nutrient starvation. Have you seen the lower leaves of your tomato plants turning yellow or brown along the very edges, while the center of the leaf stays green? This is called chlorosis, and it is a classic cry for help indicating a severe potassium deficiency. When a tomato plant lacks potassium, its stems become weak and spindly, its resistance to pests drops dramatically, and worst of all, the beautiful yellow blossoms will simply dry up and drop off before they ever have a chance to set fruit. If you do manage to get fruit, they are often hollow, tasteless, or ripen unevenly. By understanding these warning signs, you can step in with this organic remedy before it is too late. What we are about to build is not just a fertilizer, it is a living, breathing ecosystem in a jar that will bring your soil to life and feed your plants from the ground up. To begin crafting this powerful elixir, the first step is to prepare our banana peel. And here is the step many people skip. We must cut the banana peel into very small, fine pieces. Do not just throw a whole peel into your jar. By chopping the peel into tiny fragments, you drastically increase the overall surface area. This simple act creates thousands of tiny entry points and favorable conditions for microorganisms to colonize, speeding up the decomposition process from months down to just a couple of days. As you chop, you might feel the sticky texture of the peel. Those are the complex sugars and starches that we want to unlock. Once your peel is finely diced, carefully place all of the chopped pieces into a clean glass jar. A clear jar is excellent because it allows you to observe the subtle visual changes as the fermentation process takes off. Next, we need to add our liquid medium. Pour about 500 milliliters of water into the jar, which is roughly equivalent to 2 standard kitchen cups. But here is a crucial tip from seasoned organic gardeners. Do not use harsh chlorinated tap water straight from the faucet. Chlorine is added to city water specifically to kill bacteria and fungi. But in our organic brew, those microbes are our best friends. If you must use tap water, let it sit out on your counter uncovered for at least 24 hours so the chlorine gas can dissipate safely into the air. Alternatively, clean rainwater or filtered well water works beautifully. This water creates the perfect liquid environment where all our ingredients can thoroughly mix, dissolve, and begin their biological reactions. Now, we introduce the catalyst that fuels the entire operation. Add exactly 1 teaspoon of molasses to the jar. Molasses is a thick, dark, syrupy byproduct of the sugar refining process, and it is absolute gold for organic gardeners. It contains readily available simple sugars that provide an immediate, easily digestible carbon source for beneficial microorganisms during the critical early stages of fermentation. But molasses is also packed with trace minerals like iron, calcium, and magnesium, which add an extra layer of nutrition to our final brew. We are using only a small, precise amount because we do not want to create a thick, sticky, highly concentrated sugar solution that could invite unwanted pests or harmful molds. Instead, we are simply providing a spark of readily available carbon to wake up our microscopic workforce. Finally, we introduce the workforce itself. Add 2 grams of active dry yeast, which is about half a teaspoon. Yeast is a living, single-celled fungus that is incredibly efficient at participating in the fermentation of sugars. When yeast wakes up in the presence of water and the simple sugars from the molasses, it immediately begins to consume those sugars and multiply at an astonishing rate. As the yeast grows, it releases enzymes that actively soften and break down the tough, fibrous cell walls of the banana peels, releasing the trapped potassium and organic compounds into the water. Here is where the real secret begins. Dry yeast cannot completely break down the complex organic structure of banana peels entirely on its own. Instead, this process is a beautiful, symbiotic combination of the active yeast, the naturally occurring beneficial bacteria already present on the banana skin, and the rich organic matter itself. Once all your ingredients are safely in the jar, take a clean wooden spoon or a chopstick and gently stir everything together until the molasses is fully dissolved and the yeast is evenly suspended in the liquid. What will happen to this mixture after just 48 hours? Could this simple kitchen experiment truly become a game-changing organic supplement for your heavy-feeding tomato plants? Let us set the jar in a warm, dark spot, away from direct sunlight, and wait to see what happens. After exactly 2 days of quiet soaking and active fermentation, it is time to check on our homemade mixture. The transformation that occurs in just 48 hours is nothing short of fascinating. As you pick up the jar, you will immediately notice that the once bright yellow and white banana peels have become remarkably soft, dark, and slightly translucent. The liquid itself has completely changed color, turning into a rich, amber-brown, cloudy tea. If you open the lid gently, you should hear a soft hiss of escaping carbon dioxide and catch a whiff of a sweet, slightly yeasty, and pleasantly earthy aroma. This is a clear sign of a highly successful, healthy fermentation. If it smells foul or rotten, something went wrong. But when done correctly, it smells incredibly rich and alive. The first step in harvesting our liquid gold is to carefully strain out the remaining banana peel pieces. You can use a fine mesh kitchen strainer or a piece of cheesecloth for this. This is a step that many novice gardeners skip because they think leaving the chunks in is better, but it is actually a critical mistake. We do not want large decomposing pieces of banana peel to go directly into our garden beds or container pots with our irrigation water. Raw chunks of peel sitting on the soil surface can quickly become a magnet for pests like fungus gnats, fruit flies, ants, and even rodents. Furthermore, as those large chunks continue to decompose slowly on the soil surface, they can create localized pockets of mold that can harm the delicate lower leaves of your tomato plants. Once strained, the remaining solids can be safely tossed into your compost pile, where they will continue to break down beautifully. Now that we have our pure, concentrated fermented liquid, we must prepare it for application. Here is where caution is key. We must dilute this potent solution at a ratio of 1 part fermented mixture to 10 parts clean, non-chlorinated water. Because this is a completely homemade, artisanal mixture, we do not have a laboratory to tell us the exact, precise concentration of nutrients and active enzymes inside it. Unlike commercial chemical fertilizers, which have highly analyzed, standardized, and clearly labeled nutrient contents, the concentration in a homemade brew can vary based on the ripeness of the banana, the temperature of your room, and the activity of your yeast. Because of this natural variation, choosing a relatively cautious, gentle dilution for the first application is the smartest way to protect your plants. Applying a fertilizer that is too strong can cause osmotic shock to the roots, commonly known as fertilizer burn, which can set your plants back weeks. By diluting it 10-to-1, we ensure our plants receive a gentle, easily absorbable, and completely safe dose of nutrition. Stir the diluted solution thoroughly so that all the active components, beneficial microbes, and dissolved minerals are evenly distributed throughout the water. Before we pour a single drop of this nutritious tea onto our garden, we must prepare the soil. This is a golden rule of organic gardening that many people overlook. Never apply liquid fertilizer to bone-dry soil. When soil is completely dry, the plant's roots are already under moisture stress, and their cell walls are contracted. If you pour a nutrient-rich solution directly onto dry roots, they can absorb it too quickly, leading to root damage. Instead, ensure your soil is already lightly moist. If the soil is dry, give your tomato plant a gentle watering with plain water first, and let it soak in for an hour before applying your fertilizer. Additionally, we must avoid pouring the solution directly against the main stem of the tomato plant. The stem base is sensitive and does not absorb nutrients. Keeping it constantly wet can invite stem rot or fungal diseases. Instead, water in a wide circle around the base of the plant, about 10 to 15 centimeters away from the main stem. This is the drip line of the plant, which corresponds to where the highly active feeder roots are growing underground. For a medium-sized tomato plant, use approximately 300 to 500 milliliters of this diluted solution, adjusting the amount slightly depending on the size of your container and the moisture level of your soil. What happened next surprised me, and it is a testament to the incredible power of working hand in hand with nature. After applying our fermented banana peel tea, I kept a very close eye on the tomato plant day by day. The results of this simple, organic experiment became visible just days later, starting with a subtle but unmistakable shift in the plant's overall vitality. Within the first week, the leaves of the tomato plant took on a much deeper, richer green color. This was a clear sign that the beneficial microbes in our brew were actively working in the root zone, unlocking existing soil nutrients and making them readily available to the plant. The stems, which had previously looked a bit tired and thin, began to thicken up, showing the structural strength that potassium provides. But the real magic happened as we entered the second and third weeks of the experiment. The results were truly remarkable. The tomato plant did not just grow, it grew vigorously. The most exciting change was in the flower production. Where we once worried about blossom drop, the plant began to push out clusters of bright, healthy yellow flowers. Because of the steady supply of bioavailable potassium and the microbial activity stimulating the root system, these flowers did not dry up or fall off. Instead, they stayed strong, pollinated successfully, and began to transform. The young, tiny green fruits that had already set began to swell rapidly, growing larger, heavier, and more robust by the day. The plant's overall immune system seemed to get a massive boost, showing incredible resilience against the heat of the afternoon sun, and resisting the common pests that often plague weak plants. Of course, as any experienced gardener will tell you, a single application of fertilizer is not a magic wand that works in isolation. The spectacular results we observed also depend heavily on many other foundational factors. Your tomato plants still require at least 6 to 8 hours of direct, warm sunlight every single day to fuel the process of photosynthesis. They need consistent, even watering, never letting the soil swing wildly between soaking wet and bone dry, to prevent devastating issues like blossom end rot. And they need a healthy, well-draining soil structure that allows roots to breathe. What this fermented banana peel tea does is act as a powerful natural catalyst. It bridges the gap between your soil and your plant, creating a living network of beneficial fungi and bacteria that continuously feeds the root system and unlocks the true potential of your garden. This method is a beautiful reminder of the ancient wisdom of gardening, that nothing in nature is truly waste, and that the best solutions are often found right in our own kitchens. By taking a simple banana peel, some yeast, and a spoonful of molasses, you can step away from expensive synthetic chemical fertilizers and embrace a sustainable, regenerative way of growing your own food. It is a rewarding, deeply satisfying process that connects you directly to the natural cycles of life. If you found this step-by-step guide and the science behind it helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to join me on this wonderful journey of discovering more natural, practical gardening tips. Leave a comment below and let me know if you have ever tried fermenting your kitchen scraps, or share your favorite home remedy for tomatoes. I cannot wait to hear about your gardening adventures. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.